Okay. So,
Oh no, it's starting to record. Okay, that's good.
all right. So, what we had been talking about was the fact that um, the number of different untruths is vast as opposed to the amount of stuff that is actually true.
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay. This is important. We can also understand that the number of unwholesome things is vast as compared to the number of things that are wholesome, which is small.
Hmm.
This this is an interesting concept because that means that if you just make the distinction of keeping your thoughts wholesome, then you actually are keeping your life simple,
Hmm.
able to figure things out. This is basically what wisdom is about, is to be able to settle things down and stay with only a few variables so that you can get good information to make good predictions.
Hmm.
Whether those predictions are very, very short term predictions, like seeing what's going to happen in the next 3 minutes, versus long term predictions, like even if I hear about a shooting next door, I don't have to feel bad.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, here's how we're looking at this is that basically it's not the shooting that happened on campus that's making you feel bad.
Hmm.
That it's your thoughts about the shooting on campus that's making you feel bad. When you see that, you can say, wait a minute, I can change the way that I'm thinking, and that will change the way that I feel. And you've had both sides of it. We've already talked about this many times that sometimes we feel like a nut and sometimes we don't, is the expression I make. But humans are constantly in a state of flux. Look at the fact that you have had both sides of the fence, probably sometimes within the same minute. You go back and forth and back and forth. Oh, ain't it terrible that somebody got shot at my university, but ain't I lucky that I wasn't there? Yeah, but it was really terrible, and next time I might not be lucky, and he's going to shoot, and I'm going to be there. Yeah, but this time you weren't there. You hear that back and forth. You've got that even in your own mind.
Hmm.
Okay. Now the point is that you're recognizing that in a way we're kind of a crowd inside.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes, I
which
guess.
side is the most wholesome? Which side is the most beneficial? The side of, well, ain't I lucky that I wasn't there? Or, oh my goodness, that's dangerous.
Well, of
What would
course.
have happened? I could have happened. It could have happened to me. It could have happened to me. That's my university. Okay, you hear
Yeah.
those kind of thoughts. Uh-huh. In other
Yes, and
words,
I
you have been terrifying yourself. How long have you been doing that? How long have you been terrifying yourself?
just 15 minutes.
I think you've been doing it for
Right.
years.
Right. But well, with
Off
on
and
this.
on.
Yes, I know. I understand what you're saying. I uh, I get it. I get it. But there's, oh my
Okay,
God,
well, if you
why
do
is it
get
so
it,
hard?
then take the effort that it takes to change that thought. So when thoughts of, which can be something like images of the school, images of the shooter, even images of the gun, or any kind of thoughts of, oh no, any loud noises that you have in the mind, these things can happen within a tenth of a second. And then the rush of feeling comes. Now, you can do this in one or two ways. One is when those thoughts occur,
Mhm.
instead of having the rush of bad feelings, you can also have mindfulness so that that point in contact, when those thoughts come up, you can say, aha, I see that. I see that those thoughts are what's making me miserable. Aha. So you can actually gladden your mind every time you think of the shooter. Every time you think of the shooting is an opportunity for you to brighten up. Wow, I wasn't there. That's great. But what you're doing is making the old choices that you started making when you were a girl, a little girl, that this is somehow dangerous. It's terrible.
Mhm. Mhm.
And yet the reality is that there have been literally hundreds of shootings today. And you didn't feel bad about any of those. You only feel bad about the one that's close enough for you to say my school.
But it's okay. It's not the. Or yes, there is this fear. There's the danger, and then this. Oh, I'm so lucky not to be there, not to have been there. And then I'm staying in that. I'm so lucky not to have been there, but it doesn't feel wholesome. I would say it feels almost again like
You're supposed to feel bad because somebody
yes,
is hurt. Yeah,
yeah,
you're supposed to feel bad. That's not sympathy. That's good old Western compassion. Okay, do you know the word compassion has the word passion built into it?
yeah,
So if he has passion, then I have to have passion with him. This is what we mean by the word compassion.
correct,
with
yeah,
with passion. So what you're doing is you're identifying with the shooter, or not with the shooter, but the victim.
yes, yes, and I'm being
Okay, that you imagine that there's a victim that got shot, and that you see yourself as that. That's identification.
yes, I'm
What?
adding to victimhood.
hmm Exactly. This is the story that I tell when I'm talking about that somebody that you're on board a boat or a ship with, and they fall overboard. And what people do is they jump overboard too. Neither one of them can swim. Now you've got two people drowning.
Yes,
And,
correct.
and in your case right now, you have both the victim who got shot and you, both of you are suffering. One got shot, but two are suffering.
Mhm, mhm.
hmm
And
And you're
instead,
supposed to do that?
what I need to do is to start laughing.
Well, um,
How do I go
it
from?
depends. It depends on in many, many factors. It would certainly not be appropriate for you to laugh at the family of the victim.
Yeah.
However, if you had good presence of mind and they were friends of yours already, you could go and control and cheer them up. You could basically even have this kind of conversation with them to recognize they don't have to keep seeing their son, for instance, get shot in their own mind over and over again and then feel bad. But if you're going to remember the son, remember the very best things about him rather than remembering that he's shot and
Mhm.
he's dead. Okay?
Mhm.
So, even for the victim who knew the guy, the family of the guy, you can still cheer them up. But here, you instead of cheering yourself up, what you're doing is that you're wallowing in pity,
Mhm.
and you're selling that pity to the family, thinking that you're supposed to be feeling bad for their sake.
Yeah, because it's the right thing to do. Yeah, and yeah,
Okay, well, misery is very much like fire.
yeah.
Okay, it's not like money at all. If I give you $5, then you've got $5 and I don't. But if you're on fire and you set somebody else on fire, now you're both burning.
Mhm.
Okay, and in this case, you've set yourself on fire simply because you're in the habit of doing it, and you took the opportunity of a story in order to set yourself on fire. The fact is that even the family, more than likely, you don't even know the family. They're not part of your world.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, but there is, as far as culture goes, that guilt that you're feeling is
Yes.
very, very much a part of European and especially Eastern European culture. Okay, that in fact, if you had a lower, let us say, Mediterranean culture that you had been born in, then when you would have heard of someone got shot on campus, you'd be looking for your knives and your pitchforks and say, "We're going to go get that guy." But see, that's
Mm.
not how you thought. You thought of it in the sense of guilt.
Mm-hmm.
And in the sense of now you're even pointing to the guilt. How dare I feel good
Mm-hmm.
knowing that someone else feels bad?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Well, it's certainly not your business to pick up arms and honor the dead by murdering the killer, which is
Yeah,
done in an honor culture. You don't have that business. That's not your business. You are not a vigilante. You are not the cop. You cannot go and make things right by taking revenge. It's not your business, right?
correct.
Can you also
Uh,
see? Can you
yeah.
also see then that feeling bad and miserable on behalf of the family and the victim is also not your business?
Yeah, it's easier for me to not like think about revenge. There was nothing about revenge, but there was this.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you. You can see that. That's
Yeah.
part that we can agree on. We've got that wire. It's not your business to take revenge.
No, yeah, that's not
Okay. Well,
exactly.
it's not your business then also to go around feeling bad over things that are not your business. What happened at school is not your business.
Mm-hmm.
And the victims of the family of the victim and their bad feelings is not your business, just like taking revenge upon the killer is not your business. This is a hard lesson for us to learn because we have been told through our society that everything is our business, that Putin is your business, and Burton is your business, and politics are your business, and you've got to go do something and get involved and go around feeling like everybody else feels about all of this business. But what we're learning here is to understand that your world is much smaller than that. That your world can be simplified. That we don't have to worry about a conceptualized world. And in fact, that shooting that happened on campus, you weren't there, and
Mm-hmm.
all you know of it is what you've been able to dream up or conceptualize. So basically, you're like a little girl who is waking up in the night with nightmares.
Mm-hmm.
You generated all of this on your own, and you're in the habit of generating this on your own. Congratulations for beginning to wake up to this and to recognize that what happened at school is not your business, either for you to go and console the victims, to go take revenge on the killer, or for you to cower in the corner like you're the victim. All three of these things are not your business.
So can I do right now to?
You can say, hey, that stuff's not my business right now. Out you go. Let me think of something happy to think of. You don't have to think about this thing. You can take the right effort to put this stuff out of your mind because it doesn't belong to you.
Yeah.
In a way, you are vicariously living out this tragedy. In other
Mm-hmm.
words, you're stealing somebody else's uh, episode
Mm-hmm.
in order for you to enjoy vicariously your own bad feelings.
It feels okay to say to myself. There's no like. Um. It feels calm to say to myself, and then I go back, and then I have to say it again.
Okay, that's what the practice of anapanasati is. Aha, Myra, I see you again. Aha, I see you. Because those thoughts of pity, or perhaps revenge, or perhaps the frightened child who's afraid of getting shot, all three of those things are unwholesome thoughts because you're thinking about an episode that is actually not your business.
Mm-hmm.
That what is your business is to get your own mind straightened out, which means to throw this unwholesome episode out of your mind and take a deep breath and recognize you're okay right now. You're all right.
Yeah.
You're not in danger.
No, it wasn't.
Not the victim, not the shooter, not the family, none of those people, nor the episode is anywhere near you right now. Your world does not have that stuff in it other than the fact that you're thinking about it. It's conceptualization. It's not real. And yet you found a way to make yourself feel bad by thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it marvelous that you can actually think the kind of thoughts that you want to have when you remember that you can control your mind and think the thoughts that you want to have?
Yeah, but it's so unnatural.
Well, it's so unhabit like. You
Yes,
don't know what natural is because I just heard you call a habit natural.
yes, exactly.
Okay? A particular habit is not natural, but habits in general are quite normal. People do that.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, and in fact, that's the easiest way to live. We spend a whole lot less energy if once we learn something, then we hand it to that part of the mind that does things by rote. That we do that a lot. We read, in fact, we learned the ABCs when we were little kids, and when we learned them, we had to think really hard and remember and put that stuff together and look at the P and look at the Q and all that kind of stuff. But now that we've done it so many times, it's gotten ingrained,
Mm-hmm.
right? So to the point that we don't even hardly, when we're reading a word, we don't even look at the individual letters. We take the whole word. And
Mm-hmm.
many times we don't even take the word itself. We're looking at the whole sentence. That we're very almost not even paying attention to the letters themselves because we've got that deeply ingrained into the part of the mind. Okay. Guess what? Fear is ingrained in that same part of the mind. So that we just, by habit, will think of something and then feel bad. Or by habit, we feel fear. We think of danger and then we feel afraid. But that but being in a state of fear is not normal because a lot of people are not in a state of fear and you're not in a state of fear all the time. So that doesn't make the state of fear normal, but it does happen frequently. So I'm suspicious of using the word normal because when you use that word that way, it's almost like things are fixed that way. They're stuck that way. That's how they're supposed to be
Yeah,
anyway. And I
yeah,
don't have any choice about getting out of this.
yeah. It's hard to break the mold. It's hard to.
And if I exercise my choices to get out of this, something terrible is bound to happen. Is that
Yeah,
true?
because the system that you were holding on to all of a sudden disappears, and then here you are in a free fall, and
Guess
there's
what though? The free fall is still just a concept. What really is going on is confusion.
confusion. Yes, and then my mind goes everywhere. If I can do this, what else can I do? And it goes. It just goes.
Okay, I know, and it goes any and everywhere because it's already in the habit of going any and everywhere, and going in any and everywhere, back and forth and up and down and crossing is actually making things much more complicated. You're asking possibly 10,000 what ifs, and
Yeah,
all of them are unwholesome. When in fact you could, if you would take the sati to remember, hey, I do not have to have these kind of thoughts. And I can look at that kind of
Dhammarato. No. Oh, you're back.
Yes, I'm back.
I took a
So,
breath.
what I was
Oh.
just saying is that when the mind is jumping around and going all over the place, you're making a whole lot of complexity. And
Mhm.
when there's things are complex, it's difficult to understand how things are headed because
Yes.
it looks like it's all over the place. So when you remember that the kind of thoughts that you're having are all over the place, then you can say, wait a minute, I can think thoughts that are wholesome instead. I do not have to think about the guns. I do not have to think about the dangers. That I can, in fact, think about those other things which you said that you could. That aren't you glad that you weren't there? Aren't you glad that at home you're safe? Everything's okay right now. These
Mhm.
are wholesome thoughts. And if you're having those thoughts, everything is okay right now. I'm glad I wasn't to school today. Isn't that marvelous? Then there's no reason to have any fear. But if you have, oh no, what if I had been? You hear that
Yeah.
what ifs?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That what those what ifs are going to make your life miserable.
Yeah. Now,
Because you can say,
Dhammarato.
well, what if Putin comes to your door today? What if a great big brown bear is under your bed? What if there's a sky daddy that's going to tear your roof off just to see you better? I mean, how far can these what ifs go? How far can they go? There's no limit to the what ifs.
Oh,
And you can terrify yourself with every one of them, and none of them are happening.
right.
The reality is everything's okay.
Okay. All right. So I come back to reality and everything is okay, and then I go back. I come to project into the future.
Well, you don't have to do that when you start projecting into the future and say, wait a minute, I don't have to go off into the future. That may be a dangerous place for me, like it's always been. Maybe I should stay here where it's safe and recognize I don't have to go off in the future and I don't have to go off to the school shooting and I don't have to go off into a dangerous past. I can just sit here and enjoy this present moment, which actually is quite nice.
I hear you, but how do I buy a plane ticket if the
Well,
price
no,
is
wait a minute. You're looking for far in advance. You haven't even gotten the first step yet. Okay. Here's
that's
the
my
point
point.
is that you need to get yourself into a state of safety, security, comfort, relaxation, and with that safety and security and comfort and relaxation comes satisfaction, and with that success. And you get yourself to start feeling good. See, you spent so little time feeling good and so much time feeling afraid that
Mm-hmm.
you're afraid that if you don't feel afraid, something really dangerous will happen.
Yes.
But nothing ever does happen that's really dangerous. You're living in a what if world, a conjectured world, a conceptualized world of dangers, where in fact the reality in this moment is not dangerous. There's no alligators, there's no crocodiles, there's no shooters in your room right now. Can you just at least right now say, at least right now I can relax? It's not dangerous.
I can do it, and there are moments when I actually am present, and it feels good to be here. But more often,
Congratulations.
it,
Congratulate yourself. Isn't that marvelous that you can do that? Isn't
absolutely.
that much better than having thoughts about, oh no, it's so dangerous, there's a shooter on my campus?
Mm. Yeah.
hmm When you have those thoughts, you become terrified. That's natural.
Mm-hmm.
It's natural for us to be afraid of dangerous things. The point is that the dangerous things are in your mind, not in reality. If you're looking in reality, things are safe. But inside the mind, there's no end to the amount of dangers that you can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no end to the number of dangers that you can imagine. So why imagine dangers? Why don't you stop imagining and start living into the reality? Because the reality is really safe. It's safe right now. All you have to do is stop thinking about danger, and you're safe.
Yes, it's very true.
It is.
So,
It's profoundly true. And that's enough of the truth. You don't have to say yes, but, because that's enough. Over time, what happens is that you begin to feel not just good, but guilty because you feel good, but you can drop that guilt too and say, no, it's okay for me to feel good without feeling guilty about feeling good. You
mhm,
can absolutely feel okay, that there is nothing danger. There's nothing there watching and keeping track of, oh, you felt good, I'm going to get you for that.
mhm.
Because the thing that does that is inside your own mind anyway. You that's another what if that you're concocting. And so wisdom then, or development of the skill of right view, means that you can see these things as unwholesome. Not giving yourself permission to feel good is an unwholesome thing to do. Giving yourself permission to feel good, that's wholesome.
Yes.
To feel strong is
Very.
wholesome. To feel weak is unwholesome.
Mhm. Maybe you can help me with this. Um, there was another exactly at the same moment when the shooting was happening. I was not aware about it yet. So I took my 10-year-old nephew to his school,
Uh-huh.
to his elementary school, because he needed to go find out he missed the school. We needed to find out what the homework was for today, and apparently to enter the school you need to pass the security point, and it's a new system here too. Now I already passed the point. I walked into the school, passed the point, and then I got turned around by the security lady who was not first present but then showed up from somewhere. And I explained that we were headed to a teacher, and she told me, you can't do this, you need like a passport to go in. And turned us around and walked out, both of us out of school. Now, at that moment, I felt like I I said I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt the flow of things. I know she was acting as a like on the duty. That's what requires of her.
Wait a minute. While you're telling the story, I'm confused. You're saying that your nephew was going to class and you were escorting him to class,
Correct. But I,
and that a guard says you cannot come into the class or
yes.
you cannot go.
Wow.
Why did you?
Going on.
Never mind. They're just having fun. Okay, Lucky. Enough. Enough.
Wow.
Okay. So the question has to do with that you said that she made both you and your nephew leave the school.
Yeah, because it was after hours already. After what his the teacher was not already in school. The teacher has left. So we were there for no
Oh,
reason.
so he wasn't there for school. He was there
Correct.
for
Yes.
something else. Okay. And she said this is the wrong time for that. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So at that moment, I felt like I violated something, and I felt very guilty, and that there was
But
a
that very guilty feeling is an old feeling, right?
yeah. What
And
do I do with that?
all that happened was is that you got some new information and you acted on the new information. The guard told you this is not a good time to come, and so you left. But on top of that, which was all okay and everything is no problem at all, just this was not the right time. You made a mistake. but you chose to feel bad. You chose to
Yeah,
feel guilty about it
correct.
because that's a habit. You felt bad and felt guilty before.
Yeah, I felt like I'm a fool to do it. I was judging myself. I am still
Yes,
judging.
that's exactly right. That's the thought that you have before the guilt is that the guard says X, Y, and Z, but you inside your mind say X, Y, Z, W, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and you just keep hammering on it
Yeah,
and feel bad about it. Where all the guard said was X, Y, Z. This is not the right time. You got to go. And so
yeah,
instead of just going, you decided to make a big guilt trip out of it
yes,
because that's your habit. You've done that guilt trip before, almost as if every time you find you make a mistake, you feel miserable with guilt.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
How long are you going to do that? Are you going to wake up to the fact that you feel guilty for no particularly good reason? You're just in the habit of going around feeling guilty. You go feel guilty about anything. You even feel guilty about feeling good about the fact that you didn't get shot because you're thinking about the family of the victim and you can't feel good because they feel bad. And so you've got
Yeah.
to feel guilty too. You hear all of that? I mean, you're really excellent at going around feeling bad.
I just want to shake myself up and stop this. Like I
Well,
understand that
here's how
this.
you do that. Here's how you do that. You begin to get on guard for those kind of thoughts. And when they come up, you can say, aha, I caught you. I got you that time. You're not going to make me feel guilty right now. Just because I got kicked out of a school does not mean that I have to feel bad.
Oh
I
my
can
god.
go tripping down the road. I can go boogie down the path. I don't need that guard. I don't need to be in school. This is the wrong time anyway. Ha ha, I'm okay. But you won't let yourself have those kind of thoughts. You have the
No.
kind of thoughts that you did when you were a little girl.
Yeah. Like who does this? What kind of a good adult is not following
I
rules?
would say most of the women in the world are taught that kind of guilt trip. It comes with being female.
Yeah. My
Or let us
nephew.
say it comes with the territory. It doesn't necessarily come with the genes or the genetics, but it certainly does come with the society.
So why is that? Where is it coming from?
Because then women are really easy to control. You make them feel guilty about everything.
Oh, this is ridiculous. Well, that I was carrying it in me just because I'm a girl.
Well, because the way girls were treated when you were a little girl.
Yeah.
Not because you're a little girl, but because of the way you were treated as a little girl. And the big girls and the big boys treated you like that because that's part of the culture. They don't know anything else. You can't blame it on the people who made you feel guilty because they felt guilty too.
That's just a huge insight right now, Dhammarato. This is like that was never apparent to me.
Congratulations. That's what my job is to open the door. Now you're looking.
Wow. Yes, I am definitely looking. Oh.
And so your basic foundation has been guilt.
Yeah. Most
Hmm.
of the time.
And so that means that you've got a lot to look for. And so you can begin to congratulate yourself very often.
I
And
feel guilty and I don't have to.
you see yourself feeling guilty and reckon, hey, I don't have to feel guilty right now. Isn't that marvelous? And congratulations for not feeling guilty. You had a perfect opportunity to feel guilty and you stepped aside. Isn't that nice?
Again, it's so freeing. Just every time I talk to you and you give me all these insights, you're opening all these doors, and there's just a baggage falling off.
Another way of looking at it, though, is kind of like in layers.
Yeah.
Okay, imagine that a bed was made and it had, say, a pea or a knife or an object in the bed under the sheet.
Mm-hmm.
But then on top of the sheet is one blanket, and then on top of that's a quilt, and then on top of that is as Grandma's famous thing that she did by herself, and you've got layer after layer of stuff on the bed. Finding out what was deep inside under the sheet
Mm-hmm.
next to the mattress is hard to do until we peel one sheet, one layer, one blanket, one quilt off after another to get down to the sheet, and then we can pull it off, and now we can see what that thing really was. But every time that we pull a sheet or a layer off, we get a better idea of what it was. And so this is basically what we're doing is that we're peeling off these layers of habit
Yeah.
that you've got built up in the mind. And today we're working on the level of guilt and fear that you're making up in your mind. And this is an old habit that you've been in of making of thinking of things and then feeling guilty about it, or thinking of things and then feeling afraid.
So are we talking about the root of the problem now more than, you know, the blade of grass as
No,
you were?
what we're talking about is taking one layer off at a time, and you're still in that. Don't see, well, I want out to the bottom of it.
I
No,
know I want
be
to really
very happy that you
figure
pulled
it
another
out.
layer off. You'll
Seriously.
eventually get down to it eventually, and that's the attitude is, hey, we're doing fine here. We don't have to get to the bottom of it right now. We just be very happy that we pulled another layer off.
Yeah.
And believe me, this is an important layer for you to start looking at. It's just because they're mixed together. The guilt and the fear are almost the same thing. They're a little bit different, but they're very close together.
I
Because
I keep
basically, what you can say is guilt is a way of punishing ourselves so that we don't have to have a deeper, harsher punishment. And that's
mm,
why you have the idea if I don't feel guilty, then things are going to get really bad. Okay. There's an example of that that's in our society. When someone makes a mistake, it's normally appropriate for them to give an apology. But in our society, that apology is done, I'm sorry.
yeah.
Okay. That in the Thai language, they're even stranger with it because they have the word to apologize is katut.
Mm,
And katut actually, in the old deep Thai, tut is your butt, and ko means to beat it. To please beat my butt is the way that they say apologies in Thailand, which in the West we say, I'm sorry. Now, what this means is that we expect that person to punish us,
mm-hmm.
and so we want to tell him, I've already punished myself so that you don't have to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Mom, I'm so sorry. Don't beat me.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't spank me because I'm really sorry. So you learned to do that when you were a kid. You learned to feel guilty and to feel sorry for things in order to avoid punishment.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I see. Wow. I'm thinking about Russian, so it's yes. There is izvinite that means out of out of sorrow, I think, or like my mea culpa. I'm guilty of. I'm not guilty. I'm the reason it happened. Like mea culpa. It's the Latin for my fault. My fault.
Hmm.
So out of full, but there's no like beating in like in Russian that's inside of it.
But the attitude is there. Oh, Mom, I'm so sorry. Please don't punish me. Is
Yeah,
built into us as little kids. We all have that we get caught doing something wrong and we're trying to get out of it because we're afraid of the punishment. This is why fear and guilt are mixed together because if I have guilt, then that can help me avoid the pain,
Oh,
the suffering, the things that I'm afraid of.
I just got this huge uh, a scene out of my childhood where I broke my mom's vase, and I knew I would be punished, so I just started basically kind of just borrowing myself into the sheets to kind of like just to get away. And I knew I was crying and I knew it would happen to me, so I was already in my in my wallowing in my sorrow, deeply in my sorrow. And my mom did not have any intention to punish me. She just came to console me because I was hysterical.
Okay. So
It's
these kind of memories, though, will stick, and sometimes they don't stick as well as they could. You see, in your hysteria, what you're left with is the habit of having a bit of hysteria. You could even go so far as to say that when you heard somebody get shot, that invites you into that hysteria.
mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm.
there's another side of it that we can look at here, which is actually quite interesting. You said that when your mom saw you in that state, that she came to console you, she came to nourish you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Why can't you now do that for yourself, to come and console yourself and nourish yourself?
I know, that's a good question. Like, I don't deserve it, just like you said
You
it.
don't deserve it. Exactly. That's back to that point, is that you don't. Guess what? That is also a delusion that you've made.
Yeah.
You're and that in fact I can tell you for sure right now, I know you enough to know that you deserve to be happy. You deserve it. You have my permission. I give my permission to many of my students because they won't give it to themselves.
It's
Okay?
just right. I always get permissions from you. Every time I call you, there's a new permission.
Yeah, to give permission to feel good. Yeah, you don't have to be afraid, but you can also give yourself that permission. But that, in fact, getting it from me is what will be available for you then to give it to yourself. That you can nurture yourself the way that your mom nurtured you. That you can give yourself permission to do that.
Mm-hmm.
That you do have the protection. The protection is that you can do this. Okay? And you need also the protection because the guilt says, oh, if I feel guilty, then that guilt will protect me from that which I'm danger, which is the danger. And
Mm-hmm.
we're giving you permission to have that protection from the danger without the guilt, that you can feel good and still be protected from the danger. Why is that? Because you're the one who invented the danger also. You're inventing that danger, and so you have absolute full permission and protection from that danger by
Mm-hmm.
just changing your mind out of the unwholesome into the wholesome. Very simple process. Take the right effort to change your mind.
Wow.
Aha, I see you, Mara. Aha, I see you. So any image that you have, let's say the images of a gun, the images of a man standing with a gun, the images of someone falling down, the images of the university where it happened, all that kind of stuff. Anytime an image like that comes, recognize it as that image and say, aha, I see you. And I do not have to feel bad because that image flashed in my mind.
Okay, another question. So I see a video from that school.
Okay.
Uh,
Why are you going and looking at those videos from the school?
so that's the point. So do I not even look at them? Like, I
It's
just
really not your business. The only reason you'd be going to look at those videos is to feel bad. The only reason somebody put that video up there is to make people feel bad. This is the internet.
Hmm.
That's how
Yeah.
we control people, is by controlling through their feelings. And
Yeah.
you don't have to be controlled. You can just ignore all of that stuff. You don't have to bring it into your world.
Okay.
Especially when you know how bad you're going to be if you look at that video. So don't do it.
Well, I keep I keep looking up cat videos mostly. If I am
Cat
feeling,
videos are more or less wholesome.
yes, yeah, if I'm feeling down, I usually go into comedy or cats or like something like pleasant.
Sure. Hmm.
And yes, it does help.
Another one which I recommend often is happy music, old happy music.
Yeah,
Zippity doo dah, My
yeah.
What a Wonderful Day, Satchmo, that kind of music. That's good. Cat, I hadn't thought about, but yeah, cats are that way. In fact, Vila Maramsi, Bhikkhu, or Bhante Vila Maramsi, who teaches metta meditation, he has a technique of people while they're meditating of thinking of warm, fuzzy animals, cute, cuddly bears, teddy bears, puppies. He likes puppies a lot.
Yeah,
Okay, for kittens, that same thing. Okay,
yeah, yeah.
because it does bring out our mothering instinct. It does bring out our nurturing qualities. So yes, having
Oh,
those kinds of images and thoughts for cat videos of cats playing with a light or a string or whatever are just marvelous. Watching them jump up and down when they see a plastic spider or something is quite cute.
yeah.
Yeah,
It immediately brightens up my my
yeah.
day.
Yes, brighten your day. Intentionally brighten your day.
Uh-huh.
You'd be surprised at how excellent teachers cats are. I've got a really good couple of university professors. One's Lucky and the other one was Pumpui. Lucky just came up.
Oh,
Lucky is a university professor. She's about 4 years old.
oh, yeah. And she
She,
has so
she
much
was
energy.
actually just singing a song to you about 10 minutes ago, if you remember.
She was, and she was good.
So yes, this is the whole idea then is that you do have control over the kinds of things you're going to let into your mind. You have a choice over the kind of things you're going to look at. If you're going to be on YouTube, then it's much better to find something wholesome on YouTube to look at than something unwholesome.
Hmm.
News is not necessarily a wholesome thing to look at,
No, yeah,
but
that's
cartoons and jokes and sometimes university uh, topics. I'm kind of a fan of physics and mathematics and that kind of stuff, as well as intellectual music and things like that,
yeah.
because I find great joy in those things.
Hmm.
So go find some joy and stay away from the part of the internet that's going to be playing movies of assassinations and murders, and you don't need that.
No. Wow.
Yeah, let's pay attention to wholesome things.
Hmm.
So you can do that with the internet, just like when you're just sitting and not looking at the internet, you're still having thoughts in your mind. So make sure that the kind of thoughts that you're having in your mind are wholesome thoughts. This is the
It's
very
better.
basic teaching of the Buddha. I can't think how easier this is. And yeah, you're making yourself miserable by remembering a gunshot that happened in at school. Then don't remember that gunshot, and you'll be okay.
Then don't do that.
You
Yeah,
don't
you
do that, right?
don't do that. I know. I hear you. It's so simple, and yet, yes, it takes practice to do it, and I do feel I'm very lucky to have met you. I would not be here without you for sure. Sorry, my mom keeps calling because I guess she heard the news too, or I don't know what she's doing. Yeah, I'm gonna go.
That's what a relaxing deep breath. Glad I don't have to think about that anymore.
No, I don't.
Wow, you're in such a different shape right now than you were when you first called.
I can I can feel different. Yes, I can do that. I can do that.
Yeah, you can do this. That's right. That's the attitude. You can clean that stuff out of your mind. You do not have to feel guilty. You do not have to feel afraid.
Yeah, but you reinforcing it for me is it makes things easier. And it makes me actually act upon it, not be afraid of it.
That, well, this is why this kind of teaching that we're doing here is so valuable. Is because you could read all of these things that I've said out of a book, and it wouldn't have impacted you at all.
No, no, absolutely not. And
That
I
this
knew
is.
this. I already knew this. This is already a known
I
information.
needed it too. I'm passing on to you a gift that was given to me. I get great joy in being able to pay Achan Po back by giving this to you.
Mm.
Because I can't help him. He don't need no help.
No, no.
And so we pass it forward. There's actually a movie by the name of Pay It Forward. We do that with our children, in fact, that when a baby is born and is raised by his parents, that child can never pay their parents back again, but they can pass it on to the next generation. They can pay it forward by raising their children better.
Yeah.
Okay, and so this is what I'm doing, that I've gotten the Dhamma from Achan Po and Bhikkhu Buddhadasa, and I'm passing it on to you. And when you get that spark of Dhamma, when you get all of that joy, you can't help but help other people.
I already am helping some of my friends, and
Yeah,
it's you can tell the difference in how I approach them when I'm afraid of saying something, and then when I'm positive, and then when I'm sharing, how their level of happiness, of joy, actually heightens.
well, see, there you go. So you're paying it forward.
It's already
That's what I like. You don't have to be grateful and pay back to me. You can be
no,
grateful and pay it forward and be joyful and happy with other people. And if you find a friend who is all distraught and unhappy and sad and fearful and feeling guilty about the episode at school, then you can help them just like I've helped you today.
yeah,
You can
yeah.
say, hey, man, you don't have to think about that. You can think of something healthy instead that
But
you
you know
didn't
what?
get done.
Also funny is that when I'm talking about all this new information in this new way to some of my friends that I know are already benefiting from it, and then I refer them to just go ahead and call Dhammarato, just listen to yourself talk, and they're afraid. They're afraid to do it. They don't want to take that step.
Slow. That's
Yeah.
okay. Everybody's slow to get going. Even a car that you get into and drive away, it has to start by being stopped. And then
Hmm.
it begins to get speed, it starts slowly and then the momentum builds.
Hmm.
So you can expect people to be slow. It's hard for people to move out of the old into
Hmm.
the new, and they need kind of a push, just like you got a little bit of a shove, a little push from Robert.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But he shared this with me, and I pretty much immediately reacted too. Like I not reacted. I immediately called you basically, like the next week probably, or some like it was very short period,
Okay.
and he didn't
Some
persuade.
people need to be reminded 3, 4 times.
Yeah,
Sometimes people will contact me and I'll contact back and then I never hear from them again. And sometimes I'll send them an email and then after I send a couple of emails, then they'll finally call. People are like that. They're slow,
yeah,
especially when they're afraid. If you're already afraid, then you wind up being afraid of even getting out of your fear.
yeah. Exactly, exactly. It's just fearful to leave your misery and try something new.
Right, and try something new. Try something wholesome for a change.
Yeah.
Well, Anna, I think that we've gotten what we needed out of this conversation. You're looking really good right now. So we'll
Oh,
finish
absolutely.
this one and we'll talk later. But
Thank you.
yeah, you know what to do now.
Yes, I do. I do. I just have to remind myself to do
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Call me and I'll remind you, and then you can remind yourself even easier.
Yes, it's true.
Okay.
Thank you,
We'll
Dhammarato.
see you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I will talk to you soon. Have a
Okay.
good day.
See you. You're right. I'm so happy that we talked. It's
Me
great. I
too.
like this.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye bye.